We have a problem with our standards and norms being white erased across the West, and that is how we end up with situations like this. A Indian Sikh is the religion, probably Punjabi, I'm guessing, just by the looks of him. I can tell. I know these things. Initially, when this individual who should not have been driving an 18-wheeler, initially they weren't giving any information out about his name, his identity, but we have the picture now. Of course, we'll just take a quick step back in time to see what this looked like when it first appeared. I'm sure everybody has heard about this case by now. There he is. Breaking: officials are refusing to release any information on the crash in Fort Pierce, Florida, that claimed the lives of a family of three at the hands of a family of three. Three people are dead. And you probably recall the story that I shared with you all of this really lovely gentleman who lived in my parents' neighborhood, and he had sons that went through youth sports, and he loved the whole environment of youth sports, and he contributed money, he contributed his time, he was on like the boards, he was involved in every conceivable way. His boys went on. They went on through high school. They grew into adults, and this guy stayed on. It gave him and his life a whole lot of meaning, and really wonderful human being, and lost his life, murdered. I mean, we might as well say by anti-whites. When a anti-white Hispanic Mexican, I think it was, as I recall, drunk in the middle of the day, crossed the double-sided line, hit him head on, and snuffed the light from this beautiful soul that was a boon to everyone that he touched. This kind of thing is happening all the time. It's not news because we live in an anti-white world. And those who purport to defend us, of the either two camps, the schmucks or the cucks, they don't like to talk about our victimization as a people. And so we really don't get to hear these kind of stories. We don't get to mourn these kind of community members. And we all have known people like this, maybe even people like this in your family that have contributed in magnificent ways to the community. And yes, in one of our norms is that, yes, we should contribute to our communities in a positive way. We should leave something positive behind. That's a norm of the West. You remember we had the little anti-white pig couple of gatherings back, female, talking about how they expect you to do X, Y, or Z. You're not valuable just for breathing. No, you're not valuable just for breathing. Not in the West. You have to be a contributor. You have to leave something positive behind. That's how we are. You don't like it, then get out. That's how we like to say it. But we don't control our destiny at the moment, and we have a stratagem for the recapture of it that is working that you won't find anywhere else. Should I say it again? British Civil War is going to be a royal beatdown. Sunday, Sunday, Sunday. So this piece of human waste, who should not have been in our country, and who certainly should not have a job that would be almost certainly, based on numbers alone, in a white man's job, who would be building a family, who would be building a future, who would be paying off a house, who would be putting kids through school with his labors. Instead, he was white erased by our norms being white erased, by the ideology of anti-whiteism, which targets us as a people, you cuck sons of bitches out there, not as radical, selfish individualists. And race has nothing to do with it. Targeting us as a people, the race matters because we're the race being targeted. He was out on the roads, decided with an 18-wheeler that he was going to, from the right lane, use a ramp between north and southbound or east and west, whatever it is, to make an illegal U-turn, a ramp that is only set aside for emergency vehicles. So everything about this guy, slowing down to naught on the highway, illegal. Making a left-hand turn from the right lane, illegal. Using this little stretch of pavement between the highways, illegal. U-turn, illegal. The way he got his license, illegal. All of it only possible because of anti-whiteism. Because of anti-whiteism in the offices. In the offices where these licenses for heavy machinery operators, 18-wheeler drivers, etc., are issued. That means whatever your corrective is has to be able to be in that environment. You are not going to take over and with control from the top, change the totality of the middle and the bottom and the upper and everything else. It doesn't work that way, you child-brained, drooling, your cute little vegetable heads. You cute little vegetables, you're just drooling there like a bunch of, you just need to get our guy in charge. Just need to, yeah, look at your guy in charge. Going to be some anomalies, and then he'll be gone, and then it'll be right back to, and anti-whiteism isn't going anywhere, by the way. It's going to be, well, it's just handicapped in a couple little places at the moment, and it's going to be right back in full force. Do you really think blowjob is going to be Trump? Do you really think, I mean, give me a break. Illegal U-turn. And refusing to say whether they, what do you mean they? It's clearly a he. He was licensed. Okay, so that's how it started. You can see here, these are some, who knows? These are American citizens. I don't know who they are. Maybe you do. Maybe in the subsequent thing we pull up, we'll see who they are. But they could be our brothers and sisters. They could be good people of any race in this country. And they lost their lives because this guy brought India with him. Where does India reside? Where does India reside? It's a lesson time for you. Where is India? Oh, if you wanted to point on the map, you are a loser. But you don't have to be a loser forever. India is inside of him. And that's not just like a colloquialism. That's not superficial. India looks like India because of the Indians. Nothing wrong with that. That's how it works. That's what the instinct is. That's what it produces. You've probably seen on social media the endless accidents, the brutal, absolutely absent concern for human life. Yes, the victims, of course, the family members, they break down in tears, and it's horrible to watch, isn't it? As you see just yet again another one. They're like, well, here goes another one, and he like drives over a crowd of people. And of course the people are, but why isn't there any change? Well, because this is the instinct. Every animal has an instinct. None is better or worse by any cosmic measurement. But if you want to live on roads, you want to drive on roads that look like the videos you watch from India, well, then just bring the instinct of India to your home. And that's what you'll have. Instinct is not an opinion. Instinct cannot be changed. Instinct can be camouflaged. And that is what tricks so many gullible, booby-headed white people. It can be camouflaged, but it can't be altered. It's like a bird changing colors. Here we have some more news. The federal investigators administer an English language proficiency assessment. Now, this is the kind of thing that the conservatives out there will get real excited about. They gotta know English. That's what they need to do. If they just learn how to say English words and read English words, then they're just like us. There's no difference. No. But nonetheless, this guy did. And how do we live in a country where English, these requirements, common sense, and not even any sanity at all would tell you, if you were going to be operating on the highways, byways, parkways, etc., not the driveways, interestingly enough, learning English, not the driveways, but on the parkways. If you're going to be operating, then you need to know the language. You need to understand all of the signage. You need to understand, etc. You know, I've told you all about how, by way of a conversation, I discovered that communicated to Hispanics new to the country, the little trick in Virginia when you take your driver's license test. Now, this was years ago, but nonetheless, I had to renew. And they told me, hey, you just have to keep clicking next question, and then you'll get easier and easier questions. And I thought, that's not possible. That cannot be, because you could have done no study. You could know none of the signage. You could know none of the rules. You could have not studied that book and pass. And sure as shit, I sat down there and I'm cranking it along, and I got a challenging question. The question was like, how many feet on a residential street, when a bus pulls over and shows you the stop sign, how many feet back do you have to stay? And I was like, geez, I know it's a bunch, but they want, the right answer here. And then I thought, I wonder if that trick that they're teaching these Hispanics new to the country, I wonder if that works. Click next question, and it gave me another question that was easier, and I instantly knew the answer to that one. But I thought, does this really keep going? I clicked it again, and I don't remember the exact question, but it was something like a red stop sign without the word stop written on it. What is this sign? I shit you not. So our systems that we put in place to establish standards, to prevent accidents that maim and kill people, your loved ones, my loved ones, norms of the West, our norms, not everyone's norms, but our norms have been white erased. And they've been white erased because of anti-whiteism. And we know how to defeat anti-whiteism, don't we? So those have been white erased. Only a matter of time that you go from people driving personal vehicles to 18-wheelers to trains to aeroplanes, etc. Only a matter of time. And as things continue to break down, initially, you're going to have people who are maybe 1 or 2 clicks below what our standard says. You have to reach this standard. And maybe when you're 1 or 2 clicks below that, the percentage of likelihood that something horrible, truly horrible is going to happen is still kind of narrow, because we've set that bar. So maybe those people even go their whole career without anything big enough to ever be in the news, right? But as things continue to get white erased, that norm and any adherence to that norm is further and further white erased until you can't even see the original writing on the paper. And 5 clicks, 10 clicks, 20 clicks below, whatever that norm used to be, becomes the new bar for driving these vehicles and everything else across Western civilization, so that they can take these people and install them into the roles where white men used to operate the West. And it's a necessity, by the way, because without us, there is no West. The West is instinct. It's not opinion. Just like India is instinct. I could never go to India and reproduce India. Just like this guy can come to the West and reproduce the West. That's what I do. That's what my people do. So what happens? What happens? Well, you have instances like this, but they're happening all the time. You just don't get to hear about them. They're just called routine accidents, where they're happening in building construction all the time. The number of folks whose the burden now falls upon to go inspect structures, the number of them that are white guys that passed all of the standards that we require is shrinking. What happens to the structures? Have you seen some of the videos online where you have some like really punctilious white building inspector, scrupulous as all hell, and he goes in and he's like, for the love of God, this is all the new construction, and he shows you the kinds of things that you can't even believe that people from Central and South America and elsewhere are now doing with the buildings and the construction. And they tell you with horror in their eyes, this structure will fall down and kill everyone inside. Well, maybe he just saved the families in that neighborhood, white among them, of course, in this instance. But what about the next inspector? What about the next one that says, yeah, that passes muster for me instinctually? That passes muster. I know what the book says, or maybe I don't even know what the book says, because I didn't have to study very hard to have this role. I want you to think about the global implication. This is not just one Punjabi who did a U-turn and murdered 3 people. By the way, this garbage, and I'm not going to show the video of the accident, this garbage, this human waste, anti-white human waste, showed no sign of regret, no horror after ending the lives of these 3 people. He sort of looked irritated, climbed out, and in this dash cam, you can see the whole thing happen. In fact, in the moment of this here is the vehicle plowing underneath the trailer, decapitating the humans in there, decapitating them. You know where else you don't see horror on the faces of the drivers when they do things like this? Those videos on the roads in India. You don't see the horror there. I haven't, at least. Maybe you could prove me wrong. Go and find a video where the guy jumps out and he really, and that maybe you don't have to show me a lot of them, because one will prove the rule, right? So I want you to think about the global implication. The conservative mindset is to reduce this to a particular governing body for licensure, or a city or a state that's run by Democrats. That's it. They want to say, this is a consequence of Democrats. Oh, we could do it so much better. Blame the Democrats for this. Everything would be better if the Democrats weren't in charge and us anti-white Republicans were in charge. Except no. Look at what has happened, just by the by, in all of these Republican states. Remember, California was Republican. Look at what's happening to Texas. Now, they're having to rig the system so that white people can continue for another generation to play a small role, a substantive role in Texas politics. It's done because of the cucks. So they want to reduce it to something that is, it's spurious. It won't fix our deeper problem that leads to this. The schmucks do the same thing. They want to take you another direction with more superficiality about a wish that entire groups of people have to disappear. That's never going to come true. And as they wish, more people are decapitated. So this guy provided correct responses to just 2 of 12 verbal questions, and only, what other kind of questions would they be? It irritates me. Greg, All right, Greg, this irritates me. 2 of 12 questions. I mean, what were they, mime questions? Was that the other option? Could a mime have issued the questions? And only accurately identified 1 of 4 highway traffic signs. All right. Maybe what he means, maybe what Greg means was oral questions. Is that what you meant, Greg? Is that what you meant? Did you mean oral, that they were spoken to him? Because if you say verbal, they were in words, you dumbass. Oh, look, he's in a box. Sloths is over here. Question number 1. It was raining, and I saw a woman walking in the rain. I pulled over and gestured her to sit in the car. I took her to the store she was going to. She was homeless. Big salutes to the great sloths. Now, folks, be careful about doing that, especially with homeless people. Even a guy, you could have a psycho homeless woman stab you with an infected needle or anything, but be careful. But big salute. That's a very honorable thing. Well done, brother. Well done. All right. Pernell saying he wouldn't know the difference between verbal and or. Well, you do now. You do now, my brother. You do now. But otherwise, I bet you would have wrote questions. He didn't answer the questions, right? He had questions, and he failed to answer them. All right, let's try again really quickly to see if the entropy will work. Love of God. Love of God. Work. We might not have it, but we'll see if anybody financially gets there. We'll see if it comes through. I'm going to beat their asses. Hey, the financial gifting is working. Thank you, fledgling. And we will come back to your financial gift. So the financial gifting is working on entropy. The stream is not coming through, but we have an update there. FMCSA launches investigation into deadly Florida crime. Look at this. Unreal. Sean Duffy, the U.S. Transportation Secretary, is announcing that the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration is launching an investigation into the recent deadly Florida highway crash, the murder. The investigation will focus on the driver and let's get. I mean, if there were justice in the world, then the punishment would make its way to everybody that facilitated this guy being in that seat. So everybody, the company, the licensure office, that individual, it's everybody we could go back to. That would really put an icing on anti-whiteism, wouldn't it? If you knew that, hey, if you give a license to somebody, you're going to get the chair as well, right? Launching an investigation. The investigation will focus on the driver involved in the crash and the motor carrier, Whitehawk Carriers. Preliminary results of the investigation have found, when interviewed, the driver did not speak English, and both Washington State and New Mexico violated the FMCSA rules. So is it the Democrats there, cucks, that are responsible? Preventable tragedy. If states had followed the rules, this driver would have never been behind the wheel, and 3 precious lives would still be with us, Duffy said. So why are the rules broken? Because morality trumps rules. Morality trumps laws. Morality trumps precedent. So it follows then, if you attempt to address rules, codes, precedent, laws, etc., but do not address the morality, by the way, with a morality that hasn't already been defeated by anti-whiteism, i.e., Christian morality. If you do not address the morality, you have done nothing. I got to be as frank as I can, even though I'm Jason. I have to be as frank as I can, because it is insane that we continue to have people in their masses pursue content creation that leads them into abject stupidity. British Civil War. The crash was a preventable tragedy caused by reckless decisions and compounded by despicable failures. This is all Sean Duffy. Non-enforcement and the radical immigration policies have turned the trucking industry into a lawless frontier. I want you again, and we're going to move away from this, because what else is there to say? I want you again to think about how anti-whiteism has transformed every industry into a lawless frontier. Medicine, trucking, construction, concrete, the maintenance of our water system, our electrical grid, our on and on. Anti-whiteism has turned these environments into a lawless frontier. Because why? Law is trumped by morality. Law is trumped by morality. The social morality of the West is the anti-white immoral imperative. If your content creator doesn't have a remedy for that, you're wasting your time with them, aren't you? So as you see this, it compounds, it expands, it fills your world like an effluvia from hell itself. Loved ones dying, etc., getting maimed, OSHA standards dropping, and on and on. As this happens, I want you to recall, it's not the fault of the Indians. It's not the fault of the Jews. It's not the fault. And bottom line, you can't do anything about any of them. Not your whole life. Nothing will happen. Nobody you support will be able to do anything about it. So when you see this happening in the world around you, you have to be able to take the hard pill. You have to recognize that this is happening. It is afoot because you have not been a member of a people. You have not had a morality that trumps this immoral imperative of anti-whiteism. If you want to change things, if you want the rules to be followed, if you want the codes to be enforced, and you don't want to white erase our population, because halfway there is still oblivion, then you've got to go free. The schmucks will give you an option that will never be achieved. Never in your life achieved. The cucks will give you an option where rules and laws are obeyed, but the white race is legally white erased. There's only one destination, and it's this one right here, where you can make a difference in your life and the world.